Hello, friends, and welcome back to our homestead. I love June in New England. And why do I love June? It's because it is strawberry season. Look at this bad boy. Isn't it beautiful? Absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous fruit. And we're going to be preserving it so we can enjoy it today. We can obviously eat it fresh. It is so sweet when it's fresh. Nothing like the store bought at all. Because a store bought, when you buy, the middle of it is always all white and it's actually quite sour to taste, but these are so sweet because they're straight from the garden. And if my gardening friends, homesteading friends know, fresh grown strawberries from your own garden don't last long. So once we have harvested, we need to process it that day. And if we put it in the fridge till the next day, it starts going bad quickly. So yes, we're going to enjoy it today, but I want to preserve it for the winter months because we want to enjoy it in the winter as well. I have so many different recipes about how do you preserve strawberries for the winter months. I have a jam. I have how to make kompot. Kompot is a Russian word for juice, for fruit juice of whatever fruit or berries you're using. I also have heard that people used to say that Kompot is equivalent to poor man juice because you will take a little bit of fruit, a little bit of sugar, some water, and you stretch it and you can provide that poor man juice to many people. And that's exactly what I'm going to be making today. So I'm going to be making this fruit juice, strawberry juice, that I'm going to be preserving it for the winter months. And today I'm going to be using my favorite lids from 4Jars Company. American company, American made. I love it. Very good quality. I strongly encourage you guys to support a small business. And this is a small business, family owned business. I support this and I want you guys to support it with me. If you're interested to find out where to buy this or these lids, I will put it in the description box so you can go ahead and buy it for yourself. Good, great quality. Loved it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so for my kompot, for my juice for the winter, let me show you the things we're going to need. Well, obviously, we're going to need jars. They're nicely washed, and I even sterilize them in boiling water for a few minutes, making sure they're nice and clean. Then we're going to be using the fresh fruit. I prefer to use fresh, but yes, you can even use frozen. This can be blueberries, they can be blackberries, they can be strawberries. In my juice today, it's going to be strawberries. We're going to be using lemon. If you've seen my other videos in the past, I already made strawberry kompot in the past, but I've used lemon juice. Today it's going to be even simpler. I'm going to be using slices of lemon. And of course, as always, mint. Mint is a wonderful addition to any kompot, and I love to do that. My mama never had a chance to use it because we never grew enough of it. So, but for some reason, I don't know why. But now I am it's so many of them growing in my garden. It's so invasive. Be careful because it spreads everywhere. I'm going to be using mint because it adds just enough. So let me show you how I'm going to make it, how I'm going to preserve it, how I'm going to actually do the whole process from beginning to end. It is so, so delicious. And then you crack it open in the winter and serve it to your family. And everyone's going to be like, oh, what is this? It's so delicious. So simple to make. Let me show you. Let's start. Super simple recipe. Into a clean, sterilized jar, I'm going to be putting, so this is a quart jar. I'm going to be putting 1 cup, it's kind of like tightly fit, 1 cup of strawberries. If you like to slice them in half, you may, or just put them whole. It doesn't really matter. So let me show you. Once you fill it up, it's going to look like it filled up 1/3 of a cup. This is about 6 ounces of strawberries. Okay. I prefer not to cut them because that's how I like them. I like them to look pretty in my jar. Okay. To this, I'm going to be adding, let me put a couple of things aside. To this, I'm going to be adding 1 slice of lemon. Okay, just 1 slice of lemon, not much. Just like this, just drop it right in there. Okay, And also, I'm going to take a few leaves. It's not exact science. You can take a few leaves, make sure they're nice and not damaged. This one is a little damaged, so I'm going to take this guy off. But these are make sure they're nice and clean and washed and there's nothing on them. I'm going to put a few leaves in here. Again, it's not exact science. And then, my friends, this is the next fun step. I have, let me push all this stuff aside. I have some boiling water. You know what? Actually, let's wait for that in a minute. I'm going to keep filling up all of my jars because it will be easier for me to do this later. So I'm just going to keep filling up all of my jars with all of these beautiful strawberries. Okay, 1/3 of it or about. It's not exact science, trust me, but if you prefer to measure, like I said, 1 cup or about 1/3 of the jar, 1 slice to each, and few beautiful leaves. They're going to add a really nice flavor. You know, I have a funny story about this Kompot. The year was 2020 and it was time of lockdown. We were visiting my beautiful, sweet mama-in-law. And we brought her a big box of different, you know, she's an elderly woman and she was doing a little social distancing. So we brought her a big box of different foods so she wouldn't have to go to the grocery store, right? And then I also went into my cold pantry storage and I brought her a jar of one of my compots. Okay, so she tells me later, she said, Lilia, you know, I didn't know what it was. I was eating the fruit on the bottom of this jar and it really didn't have much flavor. And what I realized is that she didn't realize what it was. She dumped all the juice out thinking it was water and she only ate the fruit on the bottom. But let me show you at the end. That was not the right way of consuming Kompot. The Kompot is really the juice. And the fruit that will be left over on the bottom of the jar later will be colorless, almost colorless, but yet the entire Kompot will be nice and pink and fragrant. Why? Because that fruit gave all of that goodness into the water. Okay, so let me add a little more here. One of the things that you have to mention is that the berries should be washed very well, because if you looked really close onto it has so many seeds on the surface that dirt can be stuck in between. So it's very important that we wash it. And it's very important that we're going to do the next step as well. I'll get to that step in 1 minute. I hope you guys enjoying spending time with me in the kitchen, because this is June and that means it's a canning has begun. We're going to be doing lots of preservation of foods that we grow, because we're a homestead. We believe in eating fresh today, enjoying the minerals and all of the wonderful nutrition of fresh foods, but we also believe in preserving for the winter months, because we believe in trying to feed ourselves from our garden for a whole year if possible. Okay, all right, so give me a minute. I'm going to keep filling all these jars up. The next step we need is boiling water, plain, unflavored boiling water. So for each jar, I'm going to push this a little closer now. And into each jar, I'm going to fill this up with boiling water. Let me put them all here. Okay, and carefully, even though these jars were sterilized in boiling water, they already cooled off. So as I'm pouring this boiling water, I'm going to do very slowly, a little bit at a time, kind of like tempering them a little bit. Okay, notice I have not put any sugar into here yet. That step will be much later. Don't worry, I'll give you the exact proportion of everything. And in case you missed it in this video, it will be also in the description box. I love to share all of my recipes. They're not secrets. So I grew up drinking Kompot over the winter months and enjoying it very much. So Mama made these this kind of compots in very big 3-liter jars. Okay, well, we really don't have those big ones here in the United States. So I'm using quarts, and a quart is not bad. Okay, so I'm just gonna pour everything to the top now with boiling water, just like this, all the way to the top. Okay, all the way to the top. Let me give you one more over here. The water has to be boiling. Literally, I just took it off the stove. It's very important. And as soon as I'm done with that, I need to go ahead and place a lid on top. So I'm going to take a lid and put right on top, just like this. This is a very important step. So this boiling water is the sterilization of the fruit process. Remember how I mentioned that strawberries have lots of seeds, okay? And dirt loves to hide between those little seeds. Well, we're trying to make sure that it does not end up in our processed strawberries, right? We don't want it to go bad. We don't want to lose our precious work. So that is why this first step is going to be just to sterilize everything. That's why I'm pouring to the top and putting lids right on top, just like this, and it's going to sit covered in water. As a matter of fact, I'm also going to put a towel right on top just to keep it nice and warm for 20 minutes. It has to sit like this for 20 minutes, okay? It's the sterilization of the fruit, of the orange slice, the lemon slice, of the mint leaves, and of the strawberries. It's the sterilization process. A very important step, okay? Let it sit for 20 minutes. Set the timer. Okay, 20 minutes later, look at that beautiful color. They turn nice and pink. It's because the strawberries, even though they've been just sterilizing, they're already releasing beautiful flavor and aroma into this juice. So this is the next step, friends, okay? I'm gonna move a couple of things out of the way. This pot is gonna come back into use. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put gloves on, because even though it's been 20 minutes, they're still kind of hot because remember, I poured boiling water into it. All right, so now I need to strain it back into this pot. So let me take one of these jars. Okay, I'm gonna keep the lid on, but open it up a little bit and just strain it all into the pot. And I'm gonna do this with all of these jars, just like this. I'm gonna keep the cover on, okay? Let me work on the next one. All right, strain them all in. Very nice. Oh, it smells. I can smell the mint. I can smell the strawberries. Garden fresh strawberries are so good this time of year. All right. Okay, so everything is drained. I'm going to throw these towels right on top again, and this goes on a stove. I'm gonna bring it back to a boil. All right, so this is gonna come to a boil, but remember how I did not put any sugar in here? Well, the sugar is gonna go now. For each quart of this juice, I'm gonna need 1/3 of a cup, 1/3 of a cup of sugar. That's all. If you have seen my other video of making Kompot, I think I published that maybe 4 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago. I used a whole lot more sugar. This time I'm using a whole lot less. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How many jars do I have? I have 8, right? Yeah, 8. All right, and 8. So let this come to a boil, and all of this sugar should dissolve. I'm gonna stir this up just to make sure it's nicely dissolving. Look at this beautiful color. Gorgeous. All right, it came to a boil. Look at this beautiful color. I'm gonna let this boil for about 2 minutes before I put this back into the jars. 2 minutes, let this boil, 2-3 minutes, that's it. Okay, we are ready. Look at this, gorgeous. All right, at this point, my friends, we're going to do our final fill up of these beautiful jars with the sweet now Kompot, and it will continue. Oh, I'm making a mess. It will continue. I'm gonna leave about half an inch or so of headspace. I'm not gonna go all the way to the top. And you'll notice that my strawberries have gotten much softer, okay? They have given out a lot of its color already. And the kitchen smells like heaven. This is gonna be our Kompot. So if you like to learn a Russian word with me, Kompot means juice, homemade berry or fruit juice. I will never forget the summer nights when Mama used to make her Kompot for us. It was something special. Now I can only bring that back in my memories. But I remember going to bed late at night and the whole house smelled like strawberries because Mama made so many big jars of Kompot. This is delicious. Before I put the rings on these jars, I'm gonna take a little paper towel, slightly moistened, and I'm just gonna wipe on the edges just slightly, just to make sure there's no syrup on it, there's no sugar on it, because see, I'm wiping and it's already pink, because we wanna make sure we have a good and strong seal, and all my strawberries floated to the top. But it's okay, no worries, it's gonna be wonderful. All right, and then, so that's done. Ooh, nice and hot. I also have a pot with all of it's boiling water right on top of all of the rings. Okay, so listen, I know it's a controversy whether we have to put rings in the hot water or not. I do it because I feel that they get softened up and they make a better seal. Okay, so the lids are still hot from all of that previous processing, and remember, I also kept them in the boiling water. So I'm just gonna do a finger tight. What does that mean, finger tight? Meaning that I'm not using a machine. I'm just doing manually, tighten them up a little bit, okay? One by one, just like this. For the last thing, we're gonna be processing this in water bath canner. This is a standard water bath canner. Make sure you have some sort of a rack on the bottom. And if you don't have a rack, and if you have watched my previous videos, you saw me just taking a regular towel and putting it on the bottom. And the reason why I did that is because I didn't have a rack. Simple reason is that you don't want these jars on the bottom direct on the heat. It should be indirect heat, boiling water. So rule of thumb, very important to remember if you're new to water bath canning. Hot jars go into hot liquid. Hot jars go into hot liquid, okay? Very important. So I have this big pot here of boiling water. It's simmering right now. And I'm gonna bring these beautiful jars and put them right inside. Look at these beauties. One is in. Last one is in. It is very important that the water is at least an inch above all of the jars, and let the processing begin. I'm gonna wait until I see bubbling of water everywhere, simmering nicely, and I'm gonna set the timer for 20 minutes. So water bath canning of my homemade strawberry juice will take 20 minutes, okay? Let this baby boil up slowly. Cover goes back on. 20-minute process and our jars are ready. They need to sit and completely cool off and seal the lids before I remove the rings. So I have never, ever had a single failure with 4 jars lids. They're very good quality. So I totally trust this company as far as the quality of these lids and the ingredients and the BPA free and everything else like that. All right, so I'm gonna leave them here on my counter overnight to completely cool off before I remove the rings. I will be storing without rings. I always store without rings. And once I take the rings off, I'm gonna make sure that there is no bubble on the top of the lids. You know how sometimes this, I need to make sure that it's all sealed, and I'm actually gonna check to see if they're sealed before I label them and put them in my pantry storage for winter use. On this note, friends, I hope you are encouraged to make my simple recipe of strawberry juice for the winter months. It is so delicious. It is so versatile, and you can serve it over ice. You can even dilute it further with a little bit of water if it's too sweet for you, but it's going to be so aromatic and so delicious. So friends, be encouraged and try something new.